Hello, gentlemen. It's me, Empowered Man. For those of you who don't know, I've been going to school. I started about 2.5 weeks ago. School's been going very good for me. I'm kicking ass on all my quizzes and tests, A's and B's. So, as you know, with me going to school, I'm not able to upload content as much as I would like. So, and I feel that I want to upload content, and I feel that you deserve, to have some, at least, in a timely manner. And with that said, I don't have the time as I used to script out videos the way that I would like. So, most of my videos are going to be, rants/observation videos. It's going to be a totally new approach. It's going to be different, but I think it'll help. I think it'll definitely supply some of the needs and wants that you have, and may give you some red pills that you might have forgotten about, or you might need to retake again. I'm the kind of person where it's best to have and not need than need and not have. Anyway, having said that, I was in class last night, and I was thinking about female nature, of course. And, one of the guys in my class, he's talking about hypergamy of all things. He's talking about how younger women usually go after older men of a lot of wealth and status. Maybe not men like Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos, but men with a sizable bank account nonetheless. Men who have spent half their working lives amassing a sizable fortune. So, a lot of the younger women out there looking for sugar daddies. And the guy was also divorced too, so he's definitely probably more red-pilled about female nature on that front. And that got me thinking, of course, without... I mumbled the word hypergamy without really thinking. That was the first thing that came into my mind. But at the time, that's not what I was thinking about. I automatically thought about traditionalism and traditional marriage. If you read if you watch my video, The Gynocentric Paradigm, I'll link it in the description. I talk about how marriage, or rather how female nature is universal. It doesn't matter where she leans politically or economically or socially. It doesn't matter what race or creed she is. Female nature is universal. It's the one constant in an ever-changing world. Aside from dropping dead and paying taxes, of course. But the thing, though, is, and the thing, though, is that when it comes to marriage, okay, I'm just going to say it point blank. Marriage is a sinking ship. Marriage will go for a while, but something will sink it, whether it's an iceberg like in the case of the Titanic or a torpedo like in the case of the Lusitania. Whether it's done by different results, that ship that is traditional marriage will sink. Okay, it's going to sink. Marriage was torpedoed the moment women were given the right to vote. Maybe not during the era of first wave feminism, because there were the two world wars, Vietnam, Korea, World War II, the Great Depression. Sorry, my apologies. Vietnam was during second wave feminism. The stuff I was talking about was first wave feminism. My apologies. I've been up all night, so doing homework and, of course, a lot of other shit. But anyway, not to get off topic. It really still boggles my mind that there are men out there that have already been married that still want to start a family, even though they're probably paying alimony or they've already been married once or twice. There are still men out there that want to get married. They still buy into the trad cuck hype of marriage. Okay, let me tell you, you stupid asses, something. You stupid motherfuckers need to learn real fast. Female nature does not care. Okay? You were never her first choice. You will hear this all the time talked about in MGTOW. Okay? Even PUAs understand that. A lot of PUAs that I have respect for. I'm not going to say their names, but you know who they are. I know who they are. Um, okay, it does not work the way you think it will. Okay, like when the Last Jedi, when Rey thinks she can turn Kylo Ren from the dark side, and Luke Skywalker is telling her it won't go how you think. She goes to visit Snoke, and lo and behold, Luke was right. It didn't go how she thought it would. At least not in the first film. But that doesn't negate the fact that marriage is still a huge health hazard for men. It's a life or death situation. And it doesn't negate the point that any man that wants to get married, that is especially aware of how bad things are. You see, the blue pill man, I can cut him some slack because he doesn't understand, he doesn't know. You know, he might have not come across MGTOW. You know, he might have gotten married 4, 5, 6 years ago when MGTOW was just starting at the fringe. Oh, I can give a man like that a pass. But when it comes to men who have been MGTOW, or men who took the red pill, went all through the proper channels of the red pill grief cycle and all, how they still just want to keep perpetuating the myth up. Okay? You see, at least with a purple pill man, he understands female nature, even though I think he's a bigger idiot than the blue pill man. At least the purple pill man understands. You know? But a lot of guys out there, you can tell them the truth about marriage and they don't want to hear it. They do not want to hear it. In fact, there's a story I want to tell. There was a guy I used to have on my Facebook. I'm not going to say his name, but he fit the traditionalist mold to a T. You know, he talks a lot about marriage and families and weddings and church bells and song hymns and white dresses and wedding gowns and what have you. You know, he talks about that stuff, but you know, like Barbarossa said, traditionalism came out of a reality that doesn't exist anymore. You know, that was a different time. That was a different world. The world that you live in does not exist. The 50s are dead. Because right after 1950, 1960 came along, and then 1970 and 80 and so on. And that was when second and third wave feminism became prominent. That was when the death knell for traditional marriage was dealt. That's when marriage was torpedoed. And any man who wants to jump off the lifeboat and jump onto the ship, you know, proudly saluting as they sink with, you know, with their precious little trad marriage bullshit, you know, fucking sinking, looking like a complete fucking moron, you know, the fact that they jumped on the ship knowing that it was sinking, I just point my finger and I laugh at them. Those guys you can't really save. And that's a hard truth I have to accept myself. That's an especially bitter red pill that I must accept and come to terms with. Because even with the knowledge of MGTOW female nature out there, many guys still want to play the game, you know. And many guys out there want to just believe and have hope that somehow some sunshine-haired Rapunzel waiting somewhere over the rainbow where bluebirds fly exists, to where he is that strapping white knight that'll come scoop her up off her feet, ride out into the sunset where they'll live happily ever after, you know, till death do they part. They still want to hold that out. They still want to hold on to that. You know, let's hold hands, sing Kumbaya, live happily ever after, and la-di-da. You know, and the fact that they think that way, you know, they're very mistaken, and I'm sure that they're going to find that out the hard way at some point. If they don't, which I never hope happens, but if they don't, you know, if they manage to have a bitch that sticks it out with them, well, hey, congratulations, pal. But if she decides to leave, there is nothing that can be done to stop it. And this guy that I'm talking about, he's talked about how, you know, he's all marriage and families and shit. And I made a joke that my supervisor used to tell us. And one of my old jobs, he would tell us, guys, do yourselves a favor. Don't get married and don't have kids. Ladies, if you do get married, be sure to milk the motherfuckers for everything they're worth. Okay? Yeah, he was married. And I'm sure he's probably seen a lot of his friends get divorce raped. He hasn't been divorce raped, at least Not to my knowledge. This was back in 2013, so it's 2020 now, so this was about 7 years ago. It's been some time. But, at the time I didn't really think about it because I was working on my promotion, and I didn't think about how true that statement was until I became a MGTOW, because, I'm approaching my 2-year anniversary of when I officially took the red pill and understood female nature. I went through the red pill rage and malaise and grief. I went through all that shit. So, well, not so much grief and malaise. I saw MGTOW as a stepping stone for a better, brighter future. I'll discuss that in another video. But, you see, when it comes to marriage, like I was saying, I'd made that same joke, and he says, he starts bitching to me, what was it? He starts bitching, like fucking saying, how does that do me any favors? I'm already an orphan boy, and the last thing I could ever imagine is, not spending my life with a family. It's, not spending my life without a family. That's the last thing I ever want. Don't assume like what's best for me. It's like, bro, it was just a joke. And he starts bitching again and again. And, a year later he makes another post about marriage. Again, this egalitarian bullshit. I just rolled my eyes, but, I don't talk to him anymore. He's a nice guy, but I had to cut him loose because he kept pissing me off. So I just cut him loose, and that was the end of that. But the fact was, there's still a lot of guys out there that opened my eyes to the fact that even with knowledge, even with the red pill knowledge being out there, in spite of all the censoring being done, the knowledge is already out there, and what has been set into motion cannot be undone. Okay, there's nothing that can stop it. The red pill is here to stay, and MGTOW is here to stay whether they like it or not. And I'll do another video too about women in relation to MGTOW. It's getting pretty long. Anyway, you might think that marriage is for you, but I sincerely hope you do your research, and if you just do decide to get married, don't ever marry a Western bitch. They are way too entitled. Many of them have daddy issues, many of them rode the cock carousel. Okay, no, you're just setting yourself up for all kinds of hell. And there are already 2 guys I've seen that are millennials like me that have already gotten married. And, I'm just thinking, boy, I'm so happy I took the red pill. I'm so happy I'm not falling for that shit. And that guy I was telling you about, he was just basically living a fantasy. And he was the type that would attack me whenever I would criticize marriage or call it out for what it is. And I have the stats and evidence to back up my claim. Of course, he just pulled a leftist and bitched at me over it. He didn't want to listen. That's fine. You don't have to listen. Fuck you. You don't want to listen? Fuck you. I don't care what you think. So, I don't need his approval or validation, and I don't need anybody else's. I sure as hell don't need approval or validation from a woman. I don't need pussy to feel fulfilled, and I don't need marriage to validate my manhood. I validate my manhood myself. I wear my male sovereignty with pride, and you should too. Anyway, that's all I got for now. I'll link the video I talked about in the description. If you want to contact me, or you have topics you want me to discuss, or rather, if you have topics you want me to discuss, and you have songs that you want me to play that are Red Pill / MGTOW related songs, for my Anthems of MGTOW series, please feel free to put them inside the comments section. I'm not going to be able to check my email a lot, but I'll be putting my contact info in. So, anyway, that's all I have for now. Stay on the straight and narrow, brothers. More videos like this to come.